Good day, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Distant Relatives. I am your host, Jamal, founder of African Unity Initiative, and I have the distinct pleasure of being joined by Sister Kayi Gabiam from the Diaspora Channel. How are you doing today, sister?
I'm doing great, Jamal. Thanks so much for having me on.
No problem. I would like for you to start off by just introducing yourself to the audience and letting them know, where you're from, where you are currently, and what it is that you do.
Wow. I'm Kayi Gabiam, as you mentioned earlier. That's my full name, and I'm originally from Togo, which is a French-speaking country. Neighboring countries are Ghana, Benin Republic, and Burkina Faso. Yeah. So at the moment, I live in the UK. Um, I'm the owner of Maison Mocha, which is a clothing and accessory online store. And I also, I have a YouTube channel, which is the Diaspora Channel.
Well, thank you for all of that, and thank you for the work that you do. I am a subscriber to your YouTube channel and have been for about a year, and I just love the content that you are producing, and we need more like that. And I try to follow all of that community that is talking about Black progression and advancement, especially the people who are pushing the African diaspora as well, and not limiting what Blackness is. So I'll start off with the fact that your channel is called the Diaspora Channel, and being someone who is from the continent originally, what originally and initially sparked your interest in the African diaspora as a whole?
Well, I would say, when I came here to the UK, there are so many things that the mainstream media just keep feeding, our children and other people that don't have a clue about anything about Africa. So at some point, I got very, very tired, switching on the TV and seeing those images over and over and over, knowing clearly that, that is not the Africa I know, like the place I grew up and the people I have around, I grew up with, that's not our reality. So at some point, it's one thing just to keep talking about something constantly. And, I'm not the only person that noticed that. So you can have like some clients, that come to do their hair and they'll be like, oh, I'm so tired of this. And for all, setting, the COVID, like social workers, nurses, all sort of like, walk of life. So, it's just like we talk so much about it at some point. It's just like it has to, it has to stop. We have to be able to tell our own stories. And prior to starting this, I actually was involved in a car accident. So that actually made me I would say I wasn't able to do much, let's put it like that. And then I was later diagnosed with a condition called vestibular migraine. So I couldn't go back to work. So at that time, I was like, what will I use this time to do? And, because I've always been a very, very active person prior to, the accident, I couldn't just stay at home and not do anything. So I was thinking about what I can do to help the community here. And I noticed like, I'm not in control of the next day when it comes to the condition, because you can be fine today, the next day you are not fine. So I have to be able to find something that I can do, and I'll be able to do it from home. So I came across a video that was very, very touching to me, because the guy lost the son due to here it happened very, very often, like the stabbing, knife crime is so high, So he lost his son, and he was trying just to raise some funds to go out there and pour into other children's life. So when I went to donate, I've noticed, like, the amount, the donation already, what people donated at that time was just so small. And that kind of make me think, like, why are people not supporting this great cause? Like, we know this is affecting our boys. So why are people not donating? So I just say to myself, maybe it's because, they don't have enough. So what can we do? So that's where the idea came for me to start a page just to promote Black-owned businesses. So I've
Right.
started that early 2019 in January, actually. Yeah. So I was doing that for a period of time, like I think like 6 months, and I was just randomly posting, different products, mainly like from, the States, because they have, you guys have lots of products out there. So I was just posting that and then getting in contact with the business owners. So at some point after that 6 months, I'm like, you know, people can be actually hiding behind a certain brand and claiming they are Black owned. So
Right.
let me just start
Exactly.
a
Yeah.
YouTube channel where I can actually see them, who is actually behind every brand, and give that opportunity
Wow.
to the subscribers as well to interact with them. So that's how I started my YouTube channel.
Yeah, that's excellent because like you said, a lot of these they'll have like an African aesthetic or some type of black aesthetic to these hair care products or skincare products, and then we find out later that they aren't black owned. So that is
Mm-hmm.
actually a very necessary tool that you have given us, or service that you're giving us, of letting us know what businesses are really black owned, and actually giving them the platform to sell themselves and sell their products, and give exposure to those businesses, because we continue to say buy black, and what that is and why that's important, but sometimes we're very limited in the amounts of businesses that we know about. And
Mm,
with modern technology and the internet, and especially like now with COVID, it closed us in, but it has actually opened up more opportunities for us to connect abroad, because now everyone is virtual. So everyone is now wanting to connect more with people because we feel it's a necessity, and we're reaching out to beyond our own borders. And I like what that has brought out of this pandemic, as horrible as it has been. So I'll just say for myself,
mm,
my interest in the African diaspora, being an African American, started in my childhood. I was always very interested in Africa from the time that I saw Roots in Shaka Zulu, and I wanted to move to Africa. I wanted to know more, and I wasn't getting it in school,
mm,
and I wasn't getting it in the mainstream media. But instead of just passively accepting that because I don't see it, that it doesn't exist, I had
mm-hmm.
a thirst and a hunger for it, and I went out and made sure that I searched for it. So I want to go into my next point, because you talked about supporting Black businesses and creating a platform to bring exposure to those businesses. I wanted to ask you, in your opinion, because I hear varying opinions on this, from your stance, what is the best economic strategy for African liberation? And when I say African, I mean throughout the diaspora, just all Black
Globally.
people.
Okay. Yeah, the number one thing I would say is, first of all, for us to find out exactly which business is offering what services, for example. And
Hmm.
then same with the products. Once we know that, then is, our what should be natural for us at this stage right now is to go out there and support those people that are already in business.
Right.
So, that's the number one thing. And, apart from even the diaspora, the people, like our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean, or, Brazil, or the continent, they also have to have the same mindset to
Right, right.
support the local
Mhm.
businesses. So that's what I can suggest.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. We have to make sure that we support the businesses that are local and make
Hmm.
sure that they thrive, as well as looking out into the diaspora to support those businesses as well. And I pose that question to you in this form, economic strategy, because I hear a lot of the conscious community that
Mm,
don't agree with capitalism, and they are always they kind of fight against anyone, even Black people, who are thriving
mm,
in the capitalistic society. And from my stance, I think that there are ways to move forward in various paths, and I don't believe that capitalism in itself
mm,
is just evil, because I believe that we can benefit from that system if we support each other within it, if we create cooperatives instead
mm,
of you having a hair company and this person having a hair company and that person having a hair company, and
mm,
they are looking at one another as competition. But if I have so many clients that I can't fulfill the orders, then
mm,
not having a problem with, promoting the other company that does similar work, and I believe in their quality, I believe that that type of cooperative economics can actually propel us. And, I don't just think that we should shun capitalism 100%, like completely, because I believe that it's throwing the baby out with the bathwater, because there are so many opportunities that exist once we have wealth and once we have economic power. Our voices can be heard a lot more, and if we bring our consciousness into our gaining of wealth, then we
mm.
can move that much more easily. What are your thoughts on that? And have
Yeah,
you come across people who don't agree with capitalism, and what is your response to them?
well, what I would say, like you just mentioned, like number one, we shouldn't be having like, 3, 4, 5, just to say hair product, for example, coming from 4 or 5 different people from the same community. We have to be able to. That's why it's so important for any Black owned business out there to put themselves out, so
Hmm.
people exactly know, okay, this brand, that's what they do. So we don't end up having 4 or 5 people doing the exact same things. I definitely agree with that. And when it comes to the other aspect of the capital, what you just share a little bit, what I'll say on that point is, not everything that we used to that is actually evil. Or if there are still some good things we can learn, embrace those one and get rid of the one that are not good. So that's all. I'll say the same thing, like yourself.
Yeah, yeah, because I mean, it's become a common trend for people to attack capitalism and even attack, those Black people who become successful. So Beyonce just came out with this visual album, and it's really a her taking the soundtrack from The Lion King that she did, and she
Mm,
put all of the songs to music videos, and they released it on Disney Plus. And it's really her promoting Africa in a way that isn't very much promoted, the beauty of Africa, like you spoke to before when you were talking about the images that you saw in the mainstream media. That was not the representation of Togo that you
mm,
grew up in, or the
mm,
representation of any country in Africa. And so what she is doing in the Black is King
mm,
film is promoting the beauty of Africa, because when I was in school, I grew up with so many people, and even in my adulthood, when I listen to Black people talk about going on vacation or where they can't wait to visit, it is
mm,
rarely, very rarely that I find any African Americans that will say that they want to visit somewhere in Africa. And that has a lot to do with how it has been represented to us. But I've seen people be critical of Beyonce in her promotion of Beauty of Africa. And these are people who are claiming to be in the conscious community and finding small little nitpicky critiques of what it is that she is promoting. And I just think that we cannot be addicted to the struggle. We can't find always something to complain about. We have to look at what somebody is attempting to do. And if there are things that we want to add, then add that on. Do that as well. But don't just tear down what the person is attempting to do. What are your thoughts on it? And have you had an opportunity to watch
100%. I agree 100% with what you said. I've read few things, and even today actually, but I just didn't even finish the article because I had the exact same mindset like you, because it's one thing Beyonce is just one person. So that's what she thinks, that's how she wants to represent the continent. Fine. Like you said, if you think something can be added to it, don't just drag her down to make a point.
Right.
Go out there and what the Africa then make a video and add what you want to add. Right. That's how we're supposed to work. It's not about sitting down. Someone will go out there, put the effort in, bring something out, and we're like, oh, right, but this is still, this is missing, that is missing, that. Why didn't you go in the first place? You put the perfect version of Africa yourself. That would be my question for those people. I'm not saying they are wrong, but we have to understand that we should be our brothers and sisters keepers all the time. And if you did something that I personally found that, Jamal, I can put those suggestions across. It should have been good, because me, I see the next sister like my blood sisters. So the way I'll treat you is not going to be the same way, different way than I'll treat my blood sister or blood brother. So I'm not gonna put them out there publicly, dragging whatever they did, like, oh, you should have. No, I'll say to you, Jamal, next time, or I think you should have, add this or add that. But going out there publicly and be putting those things where we are now, those things are not needed.
Yeah, and I just think even if you have a critique, there's a more constructive way to do it. And I believe that, like you said, we have a platform. Like right now, we're streaming live on YouTube as well as Facebook. And we all have these platforms that if you have something that you want to add to a conversation, I'm not even saying that you have to even mention the thing that you disagree with. Just talk about what it is that you do agree with and just promote that and say, okay, I want to represent Africa in this way, or I want to talk about the diaspora in this way. And then have it all come together, because I believe, like you said, Beyonce is one person. I'm one person. You're one person. Exactly. And so we are pieces to one large puzzle. But that does not mean that everything that I'm going to do is going to represent for everyone. Exactly. Right? Which is why I created this platform, to invite other voices on to get their perspective. I wanted to have you on so that people can get exposed to what it is that your thoughts are. But we're having a civil conversation, right? And even if we find somewhere where we aren't exactly aligned, there is a way for me to listen and understand your point of view. I have to listen and fully understand what your intentions are. And if your intentions are good, then there is a way for us to actually find an understanding in there. Because I'll say this, so often we pit our heroes and our legends against each other. When we, as
Yes.
African Americans, when we learn about Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, is either are you with Martin's philosophy or Malcolm? Like you have to choose between the two as if they were mutually exclusive. Are you with W.E.B. Du Bois or are you with Booker T. Washington?
Mm.
And we pit this competitive spirit into even our activism, and it just doesn't make any sense. And I think there's just a better way to have that conversation. And what I'm doing with this platform, with me being on YouTube, is trying to show people and model how to curate a conversation, how to listen to other people's perspectives, and to build unification in that way. Any thoughts on that? Any last thoughts on that?
Well, that's for me personally. I think we kind of operate the same way. So we shouldn't be like it's not a competition, or who is doing this better. Those are conversations that we can have, like as a family, one,
Right.
but not. But again, that's the type of person I am. I'm very, very protective of of my own. So anything that I know is going to be damaging to my brother or sister, I'm not going to
Mm-hmm.
disclose that publicly. I prefer, like I said earlier, one to one, and then whatever I have to say, I'll say it to you, and then we move forward. So if one person is doing something that we can learn from, that is good, the other person is doing something also that is good that we can learn from, we pick the goods that both are doing. But it doesn't mean like we are putting one on a higher position than the other, because both of them, they are doing something to bring change. So I agree exactly with your way of sorting things, doing things. And we always have to do things in love. Even if you're trying to correct someone, let it come from
Right.
a respectful place in love, and then the person will actually sit down and reflect on whatever you said to them, and be like, oh, okay, I understand what Jamal is actually saying. But if, because that, oh, I'm so right, you're coming with that attitude already, the person is not even going to pay attention to what you have to say. So that's just
Exactly.
one thing. I will add on what to what you said, that let's be humble when it comes to us having a conversation, and be respectful, because that's the only way I'm going to and understand, giving you the chance to be even comfortable to finish your
Right.
sentence. But if
Mm-hmm.
you start and then I'm just like, this is just BS, this is the, like, I'm just putting it in a tight corner already. So whatever you even have to say that is actually
Mm-hmm.
going to be benefit to me, or to the community, are you even going to feel even comfortable to finish that sentence if I come in that aggressive manner? So again, we
Right.
are all wired differently, but there is room to learn and to improve. That's what I can say.
Exactly. I completely agree with all of your points. Before you can chastise someone, you have to have a relationship with that person for them to be able to receive it. And they have to know that your intentions are out of love and that you actually care about them. So we'll move on into the next part of the conversation. And I want to know,
Hmm.
so you said that you live in the UK. You're
Yeah.
originally from Togo. I would like to know, when did you move? When was your first time out of Togo, and what has your experience been, interacting with people now that you're in the diaspora, and, the
Right.
ups and downs of your experiences?
Hmm. Right. Okay. It was actually 2004. I left Togo. The the reason why it's just it's something my dad, you know, that's just like I would say a routine. But once you're about to start uni, he would just send you abroad to finish your education. And at that time,
Okay.
when it was my turn, my fiance was actually living, in England, and he doesn't want me to actually relocate to another country. And you know how some men are. So yeah, so that's why in the first place, I traveled to England instead of Belgium. So coming here, it's been, great experience in the sense that, I met people from almost like I would say all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
And, the experience, because I live in London, I would say people are very, very, the one I interact with on daily basis, they are very, very friendly people. So it's not like, when I visit maybe Belgium, for example, you go to a shop, the attitude and the way people treat you just because of how you look. Personally, I
Mm-hmm.
haven't experienced that here. But again, with that being said, there are some areas
Mm-hmm.
when
Okay.
you go those places, you're going to, you know, maybe have those type of experience. But personally, I haven't. And the people I've met here, wow, that's why me, I always see us like one big family, because whether they're
Mm-hmm.
Nigerians, they are from Sierra Leone, they are from
Mm-hmm.
Ghana. Honestly, they've been so good to me. And that's what I'm used to. Even like if I say like, work experience with other people from, like other
Mm-hmm.
race, it was just a fun place. So I would say
Mm-hmm.
that's mean being just, I would maybe say lucky, because it's not everyone that have the same story. But
Right.
even with that being said, I love my country. So, I know, at some point, which is not going to be in a far, 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 time to say, hey, I'll be going back to Togo. So my
Okay.
experience here is so far, it's been okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll say for me, experiences abroad, well, visiting Africa and living in Africa, I lived in Guinea. Um, and it was beautiful. It was a beautiful experience, and just the feeling of being welcome. And for the first time as a black man, realizing just how much weight that we carry here in the United States, just
Mm,
going outside every day, and the masks that we have to wear to be acceptable in different environments. There's a character we have to play when we're in the corporate environment,
mm,
and there's a character that we have to play even when we go into certain black neighborhoods to make sure that they don't see you as weak. We have to make ourselves look tough so as to not be, you know, picked on or
mm,
singled out as somebody who doesn't belong. And, when I was in Guinea and when I was, in Senegal and Mali, it
mm,
just felt like I was free and I could just be a human being for the first time. And it was, nobody saw me first as black, right? Because
mm-hmm,
everybody is black. And I wasn't singled out until, I went to Senegal and I didn't speak Wolof, or I went to a region of Guinea where I didn't speak the language.
mm,
Fortunately, I could fall back on my French. But, when I first got there, people just assumed that I was from there.
mm,
And then, sometimes when I spoke French, they would assume that I was from another part of Africa because I learned French. I learned Parisian French. So in Guinea, they would always call me Senegalese, and that was funny. But it was just a great experience, and I would encourage everybody, especially those of us who are in the diaspora, to visit Africa. And I love the fact that you said at the end of you're definitely going to move back and that you have a love for Togo, and that, you know, your entire life's goal wasn't to just leave and never come back.
Mm.
Uh, what would you say, and how would you encourage people from Togo and other youth in Africa who their goal is to go to Europe and their goal is to go to the United States, because they believe that, you know, it's a paradise? And I try to
Mm.
encourage people to stay, and even if you do leave, to go back and invest that knowledge or resources that you gained abroad and bring it back home and build up the capacity there. So how would you encourage young people to do that, and what would you say to them?
Well, what I would say to, young people, especially like when you have a job, or you can actually do something like any trade, like the need of the people. So if you can build
Mhm.
something for
Right.
yourself, you don't need to travel to Europe or to America. And I say that because those days it's like, now people have more understanding when it comes to what is actually happening in Europe and the struggles of or in the state, for example. So it kind of opens certain people mind that if they are okay on the continent, there is even no need to say you're going to come here and settle here, because it comes with
Right.
so many challenges that, if you are not even strong mentally, you know you're not even going to recognize yourself or even your family,
Mhm.
because
Okay.
it's not like what you were used to in Africa. You have your family around, you have great people that truly care about you, even if they don't have a lot. The little they have, they share that with joy with you. But when you come on this side and by yourself, that alone is a great, great, great challenge for someone to come from that environment and be by themselves and start figuring out, like, how should I do this? How should I move to the next thing? Oh, okay, now you find out, like, okay, if you don't even have your state, you can't even study, or you can't even work legally. There are so many challenges. So look out there, see what you can do and make, money on the continent,
Hmm.
because the in and out when it comes to how to interact with people, how, what people are looking for, things like that. So just dedicate yourself to that specific things you want to do and do it very well. And I know
Hmm.
lots of people that they just come, they visit, and they go back. And you can do that
Right.
as well.
Hmm.
So you're not gonna expose yourself to all this, this craziness, I will call it, because it's not the way people portray it. It's not like that. Even with
Hmm.
your job, basically it's like, it covers like your food and your rent, and you barely have anything left.
Right. Yeah. And I'll say this. When I lived in Guinea, I used to have this conversation almost every day, as I work with young people and would, you
Mm.
know, just sit and take the time to talk to them. And they would have 1,000 questions for me when they, you know, when they found out that I was from the US. And, you know, they just had these broad ideas of what the media portrays. And I would just tell them the realities, especially the realities coming from a black man from the United States, that it is not, you know, all all sweet over there for us. And just bringing that dose of reality to the situation, and also encouraging them, letting them know that, like, I'm here, so I understand the lack of opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
um, but if you do go, please go get the knowledge and come back and bring and try to build up the capacity and build those opportunities here, because, you know, they were able to do it in Europe, they were able to do it in the United States, and we have done it. before everybody else in Africa if
Mm-hmm.
we know our complete history. And so we know what we're capable of. And sometimes the media of not seeing ourselves, and we internalize the message of we aren't good enough or we aren't capable of building what we see across borders. And the work that I'm doing with African Unity Initiative, I'm very passionate about bringing those opportunities to find economic progression and advancement, and even, valuable education opportunities, and increasing the capacity of our hospitals on the continent and our universities and their aesthetic as well as the curriculum, and making sure that we put funds into those places to make them the desired place to go, so that you don't always have to look outside your own home. So the work is being done. People just have to support it. People have to be patient because it takes a long time to accomplish, but we have to be there for one another, and we have to, show love to one another. I will move on to my next question for you. And from your perspective and what you've seen, and, even in what you do, what is the importance of connection across the African diaspora? How does that benefit us?
Wow, that is actually a very important question. Let me put it like that, because you have certain expertise when it comes to maybe the media or technology, and then I'm here doing my own thing when it comes to how to run a business or becoming an entrepreneur. All those skills we need it. So you share what you know
Mm-hmm.
with me, I share what I know with you, and that is a strong force
Right.
alone. You understand? So that's why it's so important to us in the diaspora to connect to one another. So you actually know, who is actually doing what. And if you actually need some advice in a specific sector, okay, I have to reach out to Jamal, or I have to reach out to Diners, or I have to reach out to, this person or that person. And that's where I personally think our power and strength will come from. So it's very, very important for us
Right.
to stay connected.
Exactly. And I would just second that. And, it's very important because, like you said, and like I alluded to a little bit earlier, we're all pieces of one puzzle.
Mm-hmm,
And my expertise, or our access to certain resources here in the US, may be able to benefit the the work that's happening in Haiti. And Haiti's access to certain natural resources may be able to benefit some people in another region of the diaspora. But just having that knowledge of one another,
mm-hmm,
the people down in Peru, and even when it comes to the struggle for Black people, knowing firsthand what's happening without
mm-hmm,
having to hear it from some third party source or somebody curating a narrative for us, like what's happening with Black people in Peru, or what's happening with Black people in Puerto Rico, or in Nigeria, or in Haiti, or in
mm,
New York, or LA. If we are connected in real time with one another, and you have real connections with communities in those places, you'll be able to listen to the news, but also listen to the communities on the ground and decipher, okay, what is the truth and what is propaganda.
mm-hmm,
And so many times we fall into the trap of being propagandized by news sources because they sell fear a lot of the times,
mm,
and we can't get caught up in what they're selling or what their intentions are of
mm,
representing this thing in a certain light, or not representing it at all. For example, the no one is talking about Boko Haram and what's happening with the missing girls in Nigeria anymore. And even when they were talking about it, it was mainly over social media. These
mm,
are things that connection can bring to light so many different issues. And I'll give examples of, like, when apartheid was happening in South Africa, they would they knew that the Black Power movement and fight for liberation with Black Americans was happening. So they came over, the few that could make it, and would talk to certain Black leaders in that time and told them about the realities of what was happening in South Africa. And they took on, as Black Americans, took on the fight against apartheid just as if it were them personally going through it. And they brought, with access to the American media, more spotlight to what was happening over there. Because, and then, boycotted certain companies who were, investing in South Africa. And when you go after Coca-Cola, or you go after any other big corporation, and you say, we're not going to support you as long as you are, investing money or have dealings with South Africa while apartheid is happening, then you start to get their ear. You start to make certain changes. And so that's just one example of how connecting across the African diaspora can make real world changes. And it didn't happen overnight, of course, but at least we knew from their own mouths of what was happening over there. Because if we would have waited on the news, to tell us the realities, we would have been waiting forever. It may still be going on today, right? So that's one key element of, the strength and real consequences and real solutions that can be made with that connection. Any thoughts or any examples that you may have?
Well, example, I will just mention the very, very recent event with George Floyd, because, I heard few things that, that's, how sometimes, people just get killed by the police.
Right.
But it's, for me, and we are in 2020, I thought it's just like one in a blue moon situation. So it is because of George Floyd incident, I have to ask, a friend in the States, like, what? Because I couldn't sleep when that video just popped out in my face. I couldn't do anything. It's just like, I can't even describe how I felt at that time. So I'm like, I just need some answers from the people that live there, because, I have friends, I have some family members, but I never even hear anything like that. Like, I didn't know that's how serious this thing is. Because for me, I thought it's just like, oh, maybe once in a while. And when I ask, I need some answers, and people start talking. What actually even make me so mad is when the person told me, like, oh, Kayi, you know what? This is just our reality. And it's like, sometimes you go out, you don't even know if you're coming back home. And this has been happening for ages. So it's like we are, we are immune to it. Like, it's not the way I was feeling. Is not like, they're supposed to feel like that, because it's like they are already like when you got a vaccine for something, so you are immune, your system is already so prepared for that. So it's not like something that and it's just like, oh, just one gun kind of thing. It's not like a big thing, because it's something you're used to every single day. That is what even threw me off the wall. Like, how is it even possible? But if I don't hear that from someone that, I was close to, for me, it's just like those kind of things that happen once in a while. Till recently, I found out, no, it's for some brothers and sisters, that's the daily struggle. And, you know,
Right.
I can't even describe. No, it's, you know, I can't put it in word because mentally, I don't know how I will even survive a day in that environment. Just knowing like I'm going out, I say bye to you know to my children. I'm like, oh, bye, see. Even if I'm saying see you later, I'm not sure if I'm actually going to see them later. You know, I don't
Right.
know. So that's why I'm like, we need to do more. Like this can't be someone daily life. It was just too much for
Right.
me. So the
Yeah. I
connection is
mean,
very, very important.
it's difficult because, being here and, kind of becoming numb to it. And I
Mm-hmm,
didn't realize how like normalized it had even become to me, because I
mm-hmm.
remember distinctly, um, in the summer of 2016, it was
Right.
just getting very, very bad. We had already gone through the Freddie Gray, the Eric Garner, the Tamir Rice, the Michael Brown and Ferguson and Trayvon Martin. And then when Philando Castillo and Alton Sterling, they died on the same day in two different cities, the same incident, um, a police stop. It just kind of shut something off in me where I just went into, and it had to be like a depression as a black man. And I didn't
Mm.
really even realize what it was. And it wasn't until the Ahmaud Arbery, the Breonna Taylor, and the George Floyd
Mm.
thing all happened
Wow.
within that same little time period where you couldn't even, before one news story could
Mm.
really get the full attention, another one was being brought up. And it was just like, okay. And then in the midst of a pandemic where everybody is struggling, and it's like, you guys still have time to kill us even during coronavirus. And it brought it out of me of, that numbness that I had been feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, I have to get back to work, and there's so much that needs to be done. But yes,
Mm.
like the protests that I saw in Africa, the protests that I saw in Europe, the protests that I saw in South America, that rallied behind what we as African Americans are dealing with, was so touching, and it was so powerful. And like you said, it's another example of how just being connected across the African diaspora can make so much of a difference. And there's so much more that can be done, especially if we link together economically, socially, and share, the cultures, and embrace the African culture and the retentions that we've brought with us, even in our time away from our home continent. I want to end by asking you this final question, and then I'll allow you to once again let people know how to find you and what it is that you're working on. But what are some tangible ways for people to get connected and involved with unification and connecting with people across the African diaspora? Because there are people who are becoming to be more interested in the diaspora, learning the term, understanding what it means. So for somebody who's just beginning, how would you suggest something tangible, something that they can actually do and touch and feel?
Well, I will start by, saying you have to go out there and look for people in order to know what they are actually doing, what they are working on. Is this something that, you're passionate about to be, part of it? You have to go out there and look out. And these days it's not even difficult. You go on YouTube, you type whatever you're looking for, things will start popping out. That will be like the first step I would suggest. And there are lots of channel out there that uh, let's put it like black media. So if you want to know, for example, me, I'm here in London. There are, other channels as well here that are doing something similar or even different. So it's about people actually looking on, and everything is happening online. Start from there. And once you connect with one person, there are various groups out there as well that if you want to be part of, maybe you just send a request. You just send them a request, they accept you, and then you join those groups. You find out what they're about. If it's something that is for you, that's what you're looking for, you start asking questions, and you start connecting with different people. Then with ideas, whatever you have on mind, if it's the same thing they already have, if they have that same vision, yeah, pour into those people because they are already doing something that you are passionate about, you want to be part of. Yeah, those are just two ways to connect to people. And when it comes to me personally, I'm on YouTube at the Diaspora Channel. That's my YouTube channel. And, I encourage all Black-owned businesses owners out there, to contact me, send me an email, for me just to know what you are doing, if you are selling products, what type of products you're selling. And then I'll have you on, same like we are doing right now, a mini interview for you to share, what you are doing with the viewers. And, I have various people, like I said, mainly from the States, and they are having others from here just because they were on the show. So me, that's my job
Right.
done. Even if it's one lip gloss to the ball from that sister over there, I'm happy because that money will actually bring a change over there, because that will actually encourage that person knowing that, oh, okay, now people know in London, in the UK, or in Europe, I'm selling these products. So
Right.
that's me. So if you're out there listening, it's simple. Just send me an email. Yeah, you can subscribe to the channel as well to keep eye on what I'm doing. And that's the way forward, because I know one thing. Once we are very united, loving one another, even if there is a fact that we're not going to agree on everything, but let's always focus on the main thing, which is building each other up
Right.
and building our continent.
Exactly. I completely agree. And I'll just say on that last, I'll say on that last question that African Unity Initiative is actually an organization that is dedicated to making sure that we build ways to actually give people access to the African diaspora in tangible ways. We work in communities in right now Peru, Uganda, Sierra Leone, building relationships with Nigeria, but we have communities in Guinea and Mali, and of course here in Atlanta, and are about to expand to New York. So our goal is to go into these communities and help them build up their capacity for community development of their local areas, as well as connecting those communities to one another. So New York will know what's happening in Atlanta. Atlanta will know what's happening in Haiti. Peru will know what's happening in Sierra Leone. And so we just want to make sure that everyone knows that, people are out here doing the work. Just look us up, support the Diaspora Channel. Make sure to go over there and subscribe to the Diaspora Channel on YouTube, as well as if you are watching this now on YouTube or Facebook, go over to YouTube and subscribe to African Unity Initiative. And just understand that we as people are all pieces of the same puzzle, and we all have something to add and a dynamic that must be heard and must be voiced. And we may come with our different perspectives, but so long as your end goal is the progression and advancement of African people, then we have work to do together, and we can definitely collaborate and make sure that we are in support of one another. I will put your information up one last time, Kim, and allow you to tell them about your business a little bit more and the website.
Okay.
You guys next week.
Yeah. All right, yeah, that's the website right there, maisonmoka.co.uk, which is a clothing and accessory brand. So, I sell Afrocentric clothes and faith inspired clothes and accessories as well. So just check us out. And also my email is for the channel, if you're a business owner, is the Diaspora Channel at gmail.com. So you can, tell me exactly what your products are, or if you are offering some services, so you can also join me live and share what you do with other people out there. And I'm also on Instagram, same name, the Diaspora Channel, and for the business is Maison Moka, both on Instagram.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us today for this stream. We hope that you all gained something positive from this conversation, whether it be different perspectives from the diaspora, ways to connect economically. I hope you guys check Kim out if you have a business and you are Black owned, so that it can be supported. And we will see you the same time next week for another edition of Distant Relatives. I love you all. Peace.
Thanks so much for having me.